G'day everyone, Duckville here. Welcome to a StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm replay cast. It is going to be a Zerg vs Zerg here. Today brought to you from the EU server, around about mid to high masters if I remember correctly. We have got our two Zerg combatants here on Akalon Waste down here in the bottom right hand side, as our red Zerg player currently playing for team Shockwave Gaming. And congrats to Nani, alright, that was a little bit odd. Oh, I think this was just after WCS or something like that. Anyway, from Shockwave Gaming it is Voto. And up at the top left hand side as our blue Zerg player from team AlloyE, and starting us up with a little bit of an extractor cancel trick there, it is ViperXk. Now, these players did have a quick look at their profiles on Battle.net, and I don't believe that Viper is actually a part of AlloyE anymore, so I'm not sure what the dealio is with that, but I didn't see that as part of his clan sort of tag there on Battle.net, but I'm not sure if it was just me or something like that. But wow, he is actually going to open us up with a very, very quick pull. The gas will also go down as well, so it looks like we are going to get some very heavy aggression coming out of ViperXk here to open us up, while for Voto, over on his side of the map, we are going to get just a very, very quick hatchery here. Just the hatchery first down at the natural. We'll have to see how much his star sense is tingling right now, because if he does go straight into gas as well, it could be a little bit of trouble for him. It is very hard to defend against these early pulls when you go hatch first, and then especially when you get your gas up afterwards. So we'd like to see him put the spawning pool down, and of course, just for anyone wondering, this replay was taken from the subreddit on reddit.com. Of course, it is called Cast It, where you can post some replays, and all sorts of casters may jump in there and pick them up for you. And wow, we do see that Voto is going to go gas first here. He's going to wait even a little bit longer here to wait for his extra drone to pop out, and then is going to put the spawning pool down. A very, very economically greedy build here from Voto, so he will certainly suffer the wrath of some speedlings over his side of the map very soon. The question is well, we can see that Viper is actually still mining here inside this gas, so it does look like he is going to go for a bailing play, I would assume. There's no real other reason to get this gas here. If you do go for a quick speed build or some really, really quick lings that come out, normally you get enough gas so that you can start up metabolic boost, then pop the drones back onto the minerals so that you can then get your hatchery started up. But Viper, well, looks like he is really going to commit to this kind of play here. He's now up to 19 drones, 15 drones as we can see. So he's sort of stopped just a little bit for now while he waits for some minerals to pop up. Also needs to save some of that larvae that are there as well. And that is now going to be on the way. The first couple of lings will head across the map and try and find out what they can see. Meanwhile, speaking of vision there, the scouting for Voto does reveal that the hatchery is there and lings are now on the way. So he knows that he is up for a bit of a troublesome time right at the start of this game, especially after his very greedy economic expansion. So he gets his speed on the way, gets a spine crawler started. I would really like to see a spine down here, but it's not going to finish in time. I mean, that's the unfortunate part of playing this kind of economically greedy style, is that you can really get your economy pumping here. We'll see a lot of drones around for Voto. He's up to 17, but I mean, he's going to have a hard time defending against this. And in fact, just as speed completes, Viper is now coming through. Went to go for the queen, but unfortunately was not able to take her out. Loses a couple of lings for that particular fight here. Now, this is going to be a really interesting little micro battle here with speedlings against slowlings. You can really be quite efficient with these speedlings because they are obviously a lot faster than their compatriots without wings. And as we can see, queens are taken out. Viper has also gotten a couple of kills on some more lings here, and Voto is forced to, just sort of turtle up right now. He's going to hunker down, build up a bailing nest. He's sort of repositioned the spine crawler. A couple of lings have actually made it inside here for Viper. I'm not sure how these guys got across, but they are inside the main base right now. The natural, well, it is going to go down. Speed has now finished up for Voto, but how much damage will these Banelings get? They are very, very sneaky little secret Banelings that are now on their way, just rushing through. Will they be able to get inside? One of the Banelings detonates. Great splits there from Voto. That was actually really impressively done. Of course, the Spine Crawler and the Queen were able to poke down one of the Banes before they actually got some damage done. But now the Ling-Bane knife fights will begin, with Lings now coming out here. They will just clean up most of those units there, just leaving a couple to try and take out the Banes before he loses too many of his own Lings. And Voto takes the will defend that quite nicely. I'm like relatively happy with the way he defended that. He's got another batch of lings now on the way. Another 14 are being built up here, of course, as we can see. Some of the extra stray larvae were left down at the natural base here, and now Voto is going to do his own baneling aggression. As we can see, Viper needing to build up some banes. Now, for those of you who don't play Zerg, it takes 2 banelings to kill off some of the opposing banelings, so this will be really interesting to see how this goes. Of course, it's just 1 baneling to kill off a bunch of lings, and this goes a little bit crazy there, as we can see. Voto trying to hunt down some more of those banelings, but only gets 1 or 2 of them. But now, with Viper trying to do what he can to hold back this attack, it is now further coming through. With no hatchery up for either player at this point, they're really committing to these engagements. Lots more lings now on the way, as we can see on the production tab. The Banes are going to make their way forwards. This will be key here. If Voto can get some big hits, then he may be able to just win this game straight up, and he does. Takes out quite a few of the drones. The drone count now down to 8 here for Viper. He is in a bit of trouble right now. This is not necessarily death for him, but it is really, really uncomfortable to be in this spot. I can tell you, I've been in it a few times myself. Just sort of struggling to get the drone count back up where you really want it to be. But Voto heads down with a gassy little drone there and actually starts up the hatchery down at the natural. But he's going to be feeling relatively comfortable at this point. I mean, he knows he killed off a bunch of those drones there. He's got enough Banes here to defend, not to mention some extra lings out. Just needs to perhaps gain some more map vision here, and he is going to be doing that with the Overlord heading over to this position on the, just covering the 3rd base. But Viper, well, he's not done. He's now heading across with more Banes and lings. The Overlord is keeping an eye on what's going on. This will see the Banes. Oh, actually, it might not see those Banes that are coming. We'll keep an eye on if that happens. Actually, yes, he does. So hopefully, Voto was watching and he should have been able to catch that was on the way. Lots more lings now popping out for Voto. And if he gets this natural expansion up, that is going to put him in a really nice position, because slowly but surely, the drone count will start to grow. And as we can see for Viper, he has really been pushing into his drone count right now. He's up to a total of 16, loses 1 there just to get his Roach Warren started. But, I think that this is going to be a really interesting sort of mid-game here, where both players have just fully neglected. Well, of course, Voto lost his hatchery, but Viper is just neglecting this this hatchery of his own, and a scouting ling will come through and will pick up that there is a Roach Warren coming through. So Voto can make a decision now here. Does he need to beef up, get some spine crawlers and tank against the possible roaches that'll be coming along, or does he just get a bunch of lings and just try and swell the ling count so that he can constantly push in towards his opponent's base and try and keep the roaches back at home? And just as a way, as a kind of like a deterrent to try and keep your opponent from moving out of their base, much like mutas do in ZvP, where you use mutas to try and lock down a Protoss and keep them inside their base while you set up your economy and prepare everything. You can do a similar sort of thing with lings in this particular matchup, just sending big chunks of lings at your opponent, forcing them to pull their units back. You see it quite a lot in muta versus muta versus non-muta. You do see that every now and then. And it can be used in a situation like this, even against roaches, where the roaches aren't necessarily the quickest of units, as you can see. Very cumbersome until they get their roach speed, which will be starting up very soon. But +1 to missile attacks is on the way now for ViperXk, I should say, and he will have that on the way very soon. Meanwhile, for Voto, he's got some extra gas coming in. A little bit interested in where he's going to go. It looks like it will be a spire. Yes, it will. There it is. The big mushroom building just plopping down there inside the main base. And for the moment, Voto will be pretty comfortable, but he does have to deal with some Banes. There will be some roaches now on the way. I'm very kind of pessimistic about this attack here from Viper. He's going to have to get some magnificent baneling hits off to make this work, because, like, other than the Banes and the roaches and these, like, 4 roaches, what else does he really have? Like, his economy is it will start to fall behind Voto here, with Voto just chucking in the odd drone every now and then. Not overcommitting, just putting 1, 2, maybe 3 every now and then. But the lings will spot that there are a whole bunch of Banes here. Needs to split up these Banes, does Viper, but actually, yeah, just losing quite a lot of these units here. Lings will come through to try and hunt down the Banes. Looks like a lot of the lings actually falling down to the big packs of Banes here. actually some decent control from Voto, but sort of also losing quite a few too many than he really should have here. Now, this is a really unfortunate part of this battle, is that the roaches have been basically completely uncontested here, and with some splits of those roaches, it looks as if Viper will keep the majority of them alive for now. The Baneling's not really doing too much against roaches here, and now with Voto getting some lings out, will he be able to save this queen? It looks like the answer is no, or maybe actually yes. So in fact, the lings coming back will get the last fire off from those roaches, and does take out the queens, which is really nice here for ViperXk. It means that the production will be a little bit slower for Voto, but he does lose a lot of those units right now, and this is a point where it becomes a real interesting sort of like a game of chicken, I guess you could say, in Zerg versus Zerg. Do you drone up at this point as Voto, or do you sort of dedicate to some more lings for some defense? Well, he does have his Spire now finishing up, so he is going to pick up 5 mutas. These guys are really going to help out in this battle, as we can see with some more Banes and some more lings now coming across. Viper is going to have to do what we talked about before, with just really committing to big chunks of lings, keeping these mutas back while he builds up the odd spore every now and then. So this is what we will probably see here from ViperXk, and now with the Banes now coming through, will they be able to get a good hit on top of those lings? It looks like they will actually, and destroying quite a lot of the mineral line there. The work count here for Voto has dropped down to a much lower 20 right now, so he does have a lower drone count than his opponent, but I mean, now ViperXk has got to commit to building some spores here to make sure he has some defense against the mutas. So he also loses some drones. It's kind of a weird indirect kind of drone loss already from these mutas, just because they have simply forced out those spores. So this is that part where, yeah, as we can see, ViperXk, I would like to see him sort of group together his big batches of lings and then try and send them across. You really don't want to send just sort of 1, 2, 3 packs of lings and just be done with it at that. You really need to send big packs so you can try and target down drones, get in here, maybe target down the queen, and then some more drones as well, because over on his side of the map, these mutas are actually going to be doing all sorts of damage right now, but the spore defense looks to be set up right now. We have a double spore inside the main. I'm a little bit questionable about not having one sort of in this position here, but like, I mean, you need to be able to cover the mineral line and the gas, and covering some of the tech can also be quite helpful here. You can sort of put a spore in a position here to cover drone transfers and unit transfers and those kinds of things, so that one just across to the side isn't too bad, but I mean, we just got to be careful of these various positions here that the mutas can attack into, because if they decide to sort of just run around the back and target down the spawning pool, target down the roach drone, even the Bailey nest can cause quite a lot of havoc here for ViperXk, so he needs to be very careful with these with the mutas. Of course, the spore crawlers will 3-shot and just annihilate mutas very quickly. It's kind of funny to watch mutas try and compete with spore crawlers here, but at this point, all Voto needs to do, I would just love to see him just drone up. You don't need to spend too much on, you know, getting too many more mutas out. He's asserted his dominance. He said, you know what, I've got the mutas. You're not going to be going anywhere unless I say so. And until you get Hydras out, Infestors out, or your own mutas of your own. So Viper is pretty much stuck for the moment, and as we can see, Viper has tried to take advantage of the fact that his opponent doesn't have too much on the ground by building up his drone count up to 37 right now, and there it is. Some Ling run by is going to get some damage done here inside the natural base, picking up just 1 or 2 of those workers. In total, he has killed off 17 of the drones from Voto. So Voto's got to... I really think he's going to build another 4 more drones here. Okay, cool. We've got more drones on the way. I'm just kind of worried that he's sort of not really trying to take advantage of the position that he's in here, where you've asserted a lot of dominance and have taken that map control to say, you know what, I'm going to bust up my economy, we're going to go huge, we're going to build a 3rd base and all these kinds of cool things. Wow, somehow some Banes did get inside the main base. It looks as if they did get a little bit of damage done. It looks like just a single extra drone did go down, so not exactly a huge amount, but it was something that will certainly keep Voto on his toes. But now, all this aggression, we were talking about it before, the Lings, the Banes, all these kinds of things, sort of making the mutas stay back a bit, has let ViperXk get his forces up. We've now got a lot of roaches and a lot of Lings. Unfortunately, no speed for these roaches, which would be quite handy. You could possibly look at pushing back across the map, but wow, he's got a lot of spores. but he does also have the Hydra Den now up. So ViperXk can now begin to look at pushing out here, either looking to just completely take the fight back to his opponent by pushing across the map with Hydraling Roach, or possibly also looking to take a third base, because he really does need to pick up a third if he wants to be able to sort of push forwards and compete in the mid to late game. Because at this stage here, what Voto is going to be possibly looking to is getting more and more mutas out. Like, you can go for these kinds of styles where you just get a heap of these mutas out and get a lot of damage done with them. But if your opponent has infestors out, they can fungal, and you can be in a whole lot of pain because you will get annihilated by the fungal growth and then the hydras that are out as well. So this is why Viper does need to look at picking up a third base, because there is always a possibility of Voto going towards a large account of mutas at this point. Like at the moment, it's just 13, which isn't actually too much in the context of this matchup. But as you can see, interestingly, Voto has not taken his own third base as well, which I find a little bit surprising. Again, I kind of feel like he may be sort of losing a bit of time here with just sort of dancing around with these mutas, not building up the drone count a little bit earlier to make sure that his economy was in a better shape. And I mean, this is just sort of a factor of Zerg versus Zerg, is that you do have to be very careful with how you drone, how you use your larvae mechanic, because of course the big difference between Zerg and the other two races is that the main mechanic that you have is production of larvae, and if you don't have larvae to build up units, you can't, build up defensive forces, build up offensive forces, and you can't also build drones, because they can't all be done at the same time, much like the Protoss and the Terran forces can. So Voto is now going to have to deal with a large Hydra and Roach force that is pushing forwards. That's a lot of Hydras, and they can certainly deal a lot of damage here to the mutas if they push too far. And now, as we can see, with +1 to Carapace here, +2 on the weapons for these Roaches and the Hydras, these guys are actually going to do a lot of damage here. Now starting to push through. Looks like the Hydras are just sort of waiting. They're waiting for these for the mutas to overcommit to the battle. And now the mutas come through. Hydras across to the side. Will they be able to do enough damage to knock back all of these mutas? There is actually a huge swell of mutas here that are able to get a lot of damage done. More and more are actually on the way here for Voto. He actually popped down a couple of swarm posts. Not sure whether that was intentional defense here, or if that was just a random sort of click of the old A button on the keyboard, but it does happen. Believe it or not, you can accidentally build a swarm post, guys. It does happen quite a lot. But as you can see, the Roach is now just pushing through, grabbing a couple of extra drones there before they die down. But Voto, I mean, he cleans that up. He's now got a couple of swarm hosts, which really introduce an interesting dynamic into this particular fight, because now he is going to have like an everlasting defense here of those locusts to try and hold back some of the units. So Voto, again, I really think that he's got all of these mutas out. We have 20 mutas out on the map. He really needs to get out there. He needs to make sure that his opponent is not taking a third base at all, because if Viper can get a third base up, then that would be all quite lovely for him. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm a really big supporter of swarm host usage in this particular matchup. I think it's actually it can be really cool to watch the dynamic of how it works, because you've got these swarm hosts that are almost invincible and provide so much siege and firepower when they push against like, you sort of set them up somewhere out here. Like, sometimes you'll see Zerg players just sort of set up shop around here, send them into the natural, send them into the third as well, and you can put your opponent in a lot of in a really sort of hairy position there where it's hard to sort of deal with it. But you do need to maintain air control, because if you don't have those hydras, if you don't have the mutas to deal with hydras up in the air, wait, the other way around, if you don't have hydras to deal with the mutas or something like that, then you can really be in an unfortunate position with those swarm posts, and they do cost a lot as well. So we'll see how Voto decides to deal with this. It looks like his third base did finish up. Will's spotted by a couple of links here from Voto, and Voto will be, from Viper, and Viper will be just considering what his options are right now. Got a lot of hydras on the way, 6 hydras now being built up. his main base is mined out, and not only that, but the gas is mined out as well. He did start that extremely early, so that is part of why we're accounting for that gas. It's just that he started it so early, which means that it does mine out a bit quicker. So Voto, I feel, is in a much better position. He's got more map control with these mutas. He's got more defensive presence with the swarm hosts. I know it's only 2 swarm hosts, but you can crank out a couple more, and in fact, he's going to do exactly that. 2 more swarm hosts are now on the way, and that will give him some really nice defensive presence here on his side of the map while he gets his economy back up and running. Interestingly, as we can see, the worker count is actually 37 to 27, so Voto has suffered a lot of losses, but I mean, he has got the economy where he can sort of push it a little bit further, and he is just building up a lot of swarm hosts at this point. I'm a little bit surprised about that. But Voto is now pushing forwards. He almost loses a couple of those mutas there. The spore crawlers, of course, pounding away at the mutas here. But now with the swarm host count starting to increase, this becomes a really weird dynamic of this match. And now, as we can see, the roaches and hydras of Viper have had enough. He's now going to push across. He's going to be looking to come across. He will need to do damage to this third base. He needs to do something here if this attack is to actually work, because he's now lost the spawning pool, the Hydra Den. The infestation pit is also up for grabs if Voto decides, yeah, he is going to target it down. And even that queen is probably going to die off here. But no, he decides he's going to evacuate out of there for now. And in fact, he's going to lose some of his mutas. They actually strayed off the course and now are heading back home. But Viper is now pushing forwards. Lots of locusts about to pop out. But there are so many hydras and roaches. And keep in mind, these locusts do not have any upgrades. Voto has not invested in any sort of upgrade at this point, and he is going to suffer the consequences of that. Like, mainly his upgrades have gone into these mutas. These guys have 1-1, which is all nice and handsome, but when you're dealing with a lot of roaches and hydras, these guys have 2-2. They will be doing a huge amount of damage, with the roaches tanking the locusts at the front. The hydras will be dealing all sorts of damage here for Viper, and while Voto can slowly trade down these hydras, I mean, the fact of the matter is that he has now lost that base yet again. This has been a battle of how many times can Voto lose his natural base, and I mean, this is just sort of the consequence of not really boosting his economy up where he should have had it before, I feel, is that he has lost this base yet again. Now, he does have the third. Now, we did mention just before this battle started that for Viper to really make this a good attack, he needs to take out the third. But taking out the natural is quite good in of itself, and then disposing of a huge amount of these mutas before the hydras eventually go down is also really nice, because as we said, the big investment that Voto has made here has been in these swarm hosts. These guys are free defense in a way. Every time some of these locusts pop out, that's free defense. It does not cost you any of these minerals or any of the gas. So that is an interesting part. It's like a bit of an issue in a way that he sort of invested in all of these guys, and they didn't actually help with the defense at the first point here, but they will be able to sort of come back, elicit some pressure against Viper, and we'll see if he is able to deal with this base. There is, wow, a plethora of those spore crawlers here. 5 of them, in fact, have been set up at the third base, and now the swarm hosts are now going to start to slowly siege up into the third base of Viper, and does he have enough to defend? This is the issue that ViperXk has, is that, you know, you're going to need something to deal with these swarm hosts, because eventually they are going to push their way in, and with some lings also coming to back up some of the forces here, this is going to be a very difficult kind of thing to defend here for ViperXk. He's got a lot of various units about to pop out. We've got some infestors, a single swarm host is also about to pop out as well, but as you can see, the infestors can't really do much. He doesn't have pathogen glands, so no fungal growth is available straight away. The Hydra's now moving into a position where they may be able to try and come back and do something against these swarm hosts, but now with Voto targeting down some of these units here, if he can get a couple of these Vipers, if he can get Viper's swarm hosts, that'd be quite cool. But as you can see, these infestors just sort of hanging around, going to chuck out a couple of infested Terrans here, but eventually these swarm hosts are going to be taken out, and Voto, I mean, this is a big loss for him, because that means his defense at the front line is now gone. His Enduring Locust is on the way, but unfortunately, that's not going to do anything because he has no more Swarm Hosts on the field just at the moment. So this is a really, really weird game at this point because the Lair is now being taken out. The Swarm, the Infestation Pit is also getting very low. Viper almost has no mining here at his natural base. His third base is still mining quite nicely, but does he have enough? It looks as if Voto is in a huge amount of trouble right now. 26 supply for him. This is the, you know, I know I've been going over it like quite a few times, but I kind of feel like not taking advantage of the mid game where he had a lot of muta control on the map is where he may have lost this. His economy wasn't boosted up to where it should have been, and now with the approaching massive group of Hydras now on their way, they have a 2-2 on their upgrades. Not even these Banelings are going to be a huge threat to them. We just need to see some splits, Hydra splits. That's right, guys. If we just see some Hydra splits, where is the fungal here? No fungals, but there are some Hydra splits. That is exactly what I was looking for. Excellently done by Viper, and Voto is forced to GG. What a crazy little Zerg versus Zerg game there, guys. I mean, we saw almost every single unit in the arsenal of the Zerg, apart from the flying units, I guess. The Broodlords, the Hive units, the Ultras, the Broodlords, and then some Corruptors as well. But apart from that, we saw just a little touch of everything. So, hope you all enjoyed that interesting Zerg versus Zerg game. Catch you all next time. Here. As you can see, 47 damage to bio units and then the 34 damage against other standard targets. His storms have also been wonderful, just spreading them out across the battlefield, doing really, really nicely there. And for minigun, he's been sticking with a much more